hey, your head's up to this. I'm going to hit you with a story that made me so curious, but also enabled me to clear out confusion, clear out the complicated into simple steps that made me able to learn so many things and share so many things. Please have a listen to find out how, why, and what. Okay? It's important.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friends, the longer podcast and the title, In Search for an Easy Life. Don't be fooled. It's a bit abstract, isn't it? You see, I can remember way back, years ago. It is years ago. I remember going to this little workshop it was in an evening. So that's how it is, like an hour's workshop at this little thing. I don't know, can't even remember what the organisation was, but this guy stood up in front of us, and there's only, say, 20 of us there. He stood up and told this story. But it wasn't a story. It was a story of, and I can see the pictures in my mind, but I can't remember what the story was about. But it was how something was produced, how it started, how it got to be made, then how it was transported, moved around and done that. And after about 10 minutes, he said, there you go. What did I tell you? And we're going, well, you told us a story about making something. I remember something about carrots. That was weird because they were all very abstract, but I just didn't get it. And he said, do you want to know how to remember things? Easier. To be able to go through what I've told you in that story of mine and to remember it without having to make masses of notes. So I said, well, I was there in my head. I'm with you, man. So we went through this thing called mind mapping. And now mind mapping's not new. Well, it can't be new because it was years and years and years ago. And he showed us a way to break things down, or what appeared to be complicated things, into simple little pictures and lines from a middle circle of what the title was, and then broke each one down into little steps. And even the steps had only a couple of words on, maybe keywords, and a little picture. So he said, I'm going to tell you the story again. Let's just make those pictures together. And we did it. And he said, go for a cup of coffee. And we had a coffee, had a break. He said, right, the board's been blank now. Let's go through the story again. And every one of us could go through that story just by remembering the pictures. We hadn't even written an awful lot down, but we could remember the pictures in our head. We could remember the mind map in our head. And that blew me away. Because if I can remember something that's so abstract like that, just remembering it without actually writing it down. And when I wrote these things down in a lovely, I love mind maps, but in a way that just a word, a little symbol, a picture of something that just really represented that story. I found I could do anything with it. I could take notes at meetings. As when I was in business, I'd go to meetings and people would be furiously writing notes. And I just have this page of little pictures and lines. And they go, can you remember this, Paul? Yeah, because you said this and that and this and that. And we go to there, and then we're going to do this. And it was amazing. Amazing. You see, remembering steps to follow can be complicated, can't it? If you don't know mind mapping and things like that. This is not just about mind mapping, by the way. That's just an example being how you can break down the complicated into simple steps. And because you see, if you have too many steps, complicated steps, things disappear out of your brain. Anything over 5, between 5 and 9, little steps. If you get directions to go somewhere, after the 5th one, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd have disappeared out of your brain. You get it a little bit longer than that, and you're even thinking to yourself, oh, what a lovely holiday I had, because you're just wandered away. You cannot remember a thing. And that is such a natural phenomenon to just let these things go, because they just get totally confusing in your brain. We use it as a hypnotic process to overwhelm the mind, the conscious mind, to allow us to go into the unconscious mind. And you see, some people, I don't know who, I'm not going to say any names, but you see them all over the place in all the social medias, love to make things complicated. And I wonder why. I really wonder why, when things are so much easier, when you break things down into manageable, understandable steps. Now, I think I know why. Because it makes them look bloody good. In their mind, by the way. In their mind. When people have got this really complicated thing off pat because they've taken years to learn the bloody thing and make it more complicated, it just makes them look better than you. It's their show reel. Behind the show reel, they've got nothing. Doesn't work. And so I now look for the simple steps amongst that BS. Because you can still find it, even when people try to overcomplicate things. If you really look for those simple steps, and mind mapping is a great way to do it, you can find out anything. It's how I learnt the processes of hypnosis and NLP to use in therapy, to break what appeared to me initially complicated processes into manageable steps that I could understand. And once I understood them, I could understand why the next step came along. There's so many things I've modelled from listening to people speak and be able to teach it, to share it. I remember a great thing where people were advertising the 101 in business. And they were going on and on. It was so complicated. They were selling a course, basically. But what they didn't realise was, if you listened and you could throw away the fluff, as it were, and get those simple steps, I modelled their whole course from what they were saying. And I've shared that with people in businesses, and it just makes sense. And it works. And in things like processes of hypnosis, NLP, therapy, especially therapy, people make things so bloody complicated there too. They really do. And in fact, there's such a simple thing. It's called present state, desired state. This is a state you don't like because it's present. The desired state is how you want to be. And all we've got to do is change. And there's a model called the TOTE model to help you with that. TOTE, what's that? Test, operate, test, exit. So the test is, tell me what your present state is, how you do it. The T at the end is your desired state. Have we got there? This is what I want. The O is operate. Do something that's going to transfer or transform present state to desired state. Once you've got that desired state, exit. Get out of it. Get out of your way. Do it. And you can break so many things down into a simple little TOTE. Test, operate, test, exit. Because if you do too many things, you don't know which one worked, which ones didn't work. But most people don't start with their desired state, or their present state, or their desired state. They've just got this big goal. They're not looking at what they've got already. They just complicate things too much. And that's where I know I quote Albert Einstein for in simplicity, there is genius. And I don't know how that hooked up with me. Because when I started the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, it was all about getting so frustrated with people overcomplicate things. I wanted to break things down into simple ways that we can make fantastic changes, knowing what we're doing what we know, but be able to do it without that confusion. So let's have a think. What? I know I've talked about mind mapping, and if you get into mind mapping, I'll do it. I can remember one little side story. I was in my trainer's training, and this guy beside me, we stayed in the same dormitory, as it were, and we sat pretty close together, but he was a mind mapping genius. His mind maps were a work of art. In fact, I went and paid for a photocopy of his mind maps because they were that good. And as I saw each one, I could follow each day. He did one for every day's training. And they were brilliant. And he enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed watching him. It was a work of art, breaking down a whole day into one A4 sheet of paper that we could all follow. That's how breaking the complicated into simple really just works. So what's the learning here? Well, don't let complicated impress you. That's one of these things for me. Don't let people who complicate things, well, this is so complicated and they're so good and they're so charismatic about it. Well, look for the bullshit. Are they just out there to impress you? Is it a mask to impress? And that mask just fails because you can't do it. They're just trying to suck you in. But there's a reverse of that. And the reverse is, don't let simplicity fool you. Because sometimes you look at something and says, oh, that's so simple. That is so simple. No, in simplicity there is genius. As long as it's not too simple and it misses the important points. But don't let simplicity fool you. And I think that's more important. So you get rid of the bullshit and look for simple ways. But the thing is about things being simple. Doesn't mean they're easy. Oh no. They're easy to follow. Yes, you have easy to follow steps. They're easy to understand. But the trouble with those bloody steps are, they're going to take effort. They're going to take resilience, determination, intention. But those simple steps make it so doable. And you see, with simple steps, and you take that confusion away, and we do get confused now and again, by the way, because your unconscious mind will try to get to a point where it's a little bit overloaded. But don't give up then. That's a side thing, but we get a little bit confused, but then you look at the next step and you go, I've just integrated the learning so I can move on to the next little step. But you get success with every step. I understand it. I understand what I need to do. I've just got to keep practicing. I've got to have the determination to carry on, keep doing it. I've got the intention. I know where we're going. And these steps are going to make it for me. Because when I get it, you're going to be a master of it. And that's the thing, mastery, knowing what you do and doing what you know. Well, you'll know it so easily. You'll see it in your mind. I often wonder when people, Richard Badley used to say, I see things out there and I just read them to people or tell people it. And I go, that's ridiculous, until I've done it myself. I can see my mind maps in my head. And I just follow them. And the thing about this simplicity thing, I've got 3 little examples. 2 of them are from my own family. And it's not me. My younger son, Joseph, has a program called Mind Mastery, where he looks to help people get rid of anxiety, unconfidence, all manner of problems by finding the root cause of their issue, and then with simple steps to overcome it. And they are really simple steps. Each one, and I always think it's like a domino rally, each simple step is a little bit, next one is a bit bigger, and the next one's a bit bigger, but as you tip the first one over, the second one gets easier, the third one gets easier, and by the end of that program, the changes people make are amazing. It's not magic, but it's certainly magical to the people who get those changes. There's another one. There's another little example. There's a podcast and a book I'm just reading by a guy called Mark Divine. He is an ex-Navy SEAL. And now he has a podcast, The Mark Divine Show, and he's written a book about being uncommon. And we love being, that title, be an uncommon person in a group of uncommon people. That's really being who you really are, isn't it? Because you're unique. Be uncommon in that group. But he is giving you, in his book, 5 mountains. He calls them 5 mountains. And they're 5 different parts of your life to improve, building one upon the other. One step, and then as you get into that step, you move on to the next step. And with that, you begin to, as he puts it, really follow your North Star, your passion, your purpose. But he's broken it down into simple steps. Again, simple, easy to follow. Got to take effort though. And the last one for the moment is my elder son, Daniel, he does his own little podcast. He's into his health. And he's broken down what he considers being able to be healthy. And I think he's broken it down to just 7 areas of life. One of them is maybe just drinking water. Now, even drinking water, you go, oh, that's so easy. Do it every day. Simple step. Easy to understand. But to do it every day at a certain amount. But perfect health into 7 steps. What an awesome thing to do. Because if you listen to other people about their health and how they're going to guide you through it, they're talking about all these complicated words, or they're complicated processes with complicated words, all sorts of things. When I listen to them, I've got a bloody dictionary trying to work out what they're doing. In fact, I'm getting in touch with Daniel and say, what does that mean? What does this mean? But with breaking anything down into a simple step or steps, you are going to achieve things. And you get more motivated. You get more confident in everything. I don't know why I said confident like that. You get more confident. Confidence grows, especially when you have your intention. Confidence is there. And that confidence is then doubling with every step. So here's a sort of thing to finish-ish. If something appears simple, rejoice. Say yay and look at it. Does it make sense? Does it really work? Will those simple steps get you from here to there? A, B, C, D, E, whatever. 1, 2, C, D, E. Throw them around. Mix them up a little bit. If it's complicated, or it may not be thought through, just ask. This is, if it's important to you, and you think this thing that is complicated in front of you, being explained to you, is valuable, but just not being communicated in a way that it is easily to understand and follow. Maybe just ask yourself, how could I, or what would make this simpler? What would this be like if it was in simple steps? What would those simple steps be? You may even ask the question, if this was simple, what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would I hear? Get all the modalities going and get your unconscious mind to start searching for those simple ways. Or you could, if you wanted to, ask Cluffy. Yeah, ask me, send me an email, say, look, this process is a bit complicated. Can you break it down for us? Can we get it into a simple process that would work? Maybe into a hypnotic process as well, or certainly something I can visualize to make it happen. So that's why I've entitled this, In Search for an Easy Life. It's to create a life easily, effortlessly, and enjoy it. See, life doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to, if you want to make it as complicated as you want, fine. But only make it as complicated as you need to. Which is a weird saying. But it doesn't have to be complicated, does it? And the thing is, when you look for things within things, I think you'll find them. So if something is complicated, break it down. Learn mind mapping. For me, that's the easiest thing to do. Learn. Tony Buzan, I think, was the creator of mind mapping. But you find it online. Ideally, I mean, you see them on you can get them on the internet now, and they're on your screen. But handwritten drawings are so much more personal. Again, when you write things down, it's coming from your brain, not tippy-tappy or just copying a bloody picture. But when you look for an answer, and this is what it really comes down to, it's a little aha moment. When you look for the answer and you ask yourself a real question, how can I make this simple? How can I make it easier so I can succeed? If it was simple, what would it look like? You'll find it. Your unconscious mind will find a way. It'll find a way either to do it itself, or it'll find people who can do it for you. As I said, send me an email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com, or you'll find things on YouTube or whatever. But you'll look and you'll find it in a way that you weren't necessarily searching for it, but it just comes up. Now, I always make a little note to myself. How do I want you to feel when you listen to all of this? And what I'd love you to feel, maybe if I've done it, I've done my little thing. And it's curious. That's all. I want you to be curious. I wonder, is that possible, Cluffy? Could I just do that if I learned a bit of mind mapping? Or if I just ask those questions, if I just thought, get a paper and pencil, by the way, you could make notes. Because as we said, you get over 5 steps, poof, the 6th one comes in and the first one drops out your head. So make those notes, but just get curious of what you want to learn, and then look to how you can model it, and model it in a way model it into simple steps. And why is this important? Why is this important at all? Well, if you can be motivated, and I say you, I mean me as well. If you could be motivated by the little success you get in each step, you're going to get the results you want. Not by being confused and overwhelmed by people making things more complicated than they need to be. I really hope, and I've rambled, hopefully that story has stuck with me for years. It's been with me, it comes away every time I look at my books on that, and my notes. My puzzle book, by the way, just as an aside, just came to my head. My puzzle book, the one I work out, I sit and think about. All bloody mind maps, because I get a problem in the center, and then I look for simple steps to find a solution to the problem. And maybe one mind map will lead to another mind map. But it just makes things so clear for me. Clarification is wonderful. Yes, just as a reminder, sometimes we do get confused, but that confusion is just your unconscious mind integrating all the knowledge you've just picked up. And then in an hour or so, that little aha moment comes. And it's not really an aha moment. It's just that clarity comes and you can see the next step. And it all starts with curiosity. And for me, it was the magic of that guy giving me something that made me curious, made me feel, I'm going to go for that. I'm going to look for it. I'm going to find it. And the things I have found and created, all from that one guy. Man, that was awesome. And the thing was, he wasn't even selling anything. He just wanted to share what he's learned. Now, if that's selfless service in a tea, if that's the word, how you say it, in a tea, at a tea. Who knows? Don't care. But it was awesome. So I thank him from the bottom of my heart and the heart of my bottom. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. It's just a little UK joke. Anyway, please share this to anybody you know, everyone you know, if you would. Press that blooming old subscribe button. Don't miss any of these, because the thing is, not every episode will maybe hit its mark. You'll think, well, that's not that interesting, but every now and again you'll get that golden nugget. And that's the important thing. That's why I listen to so many other things, because I'll get golden nuggets. Sometimes you have to sift through a little bit. But hopefully here at Personal Development Unplugged, you'll find hopefully it's into simple steps. That's my aim, to share with you simple things and for us all to grow and have a rich life. Have fun, joy, find love everywhere. So please do that, please share, and share your thoughts with me. And again, that personal feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com email. Please share what you've learned. Please share the things that you've achieved, you've experienced, or if there's anything that you feel I can improve upon or add to this. All welcome. All welcome. Thank you so much for your time. I know time is valuable, but if we found one little thing, it's been totally valuable. Until the next time, my friend, have so much fun. More fun than you can stand. Bye-bye. Time to fly.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.